Would you still laugh if you found out the woman you just humiliated carries the child of a U.S. Navy SEAL captain? The voice in the video echoes as the camera slowly pans across a bustling cafe in Virginia Beach. Don't skip this one, because what happened next will change how you see people forever. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this is one story you'll never forget. It was a warm Saturday morning, the kind when the ocean breeze carried salt and hope together. The cafe near the boardwalk was filled with chatter, tourists ordering breakfast, locals sipping coffee, and a waitress rushing between tables. Among them walked Amara Johnson, a beautiful black woman, 7 months pregnant, with a glow that came not from wealth or makeup, but from peace. She wore a simple blue sundress, her hand gently resting on her belly. She smiled at people as she entered, though her steps were slower now. She had come to grab a quiet brunch while her husband, Captain James Cole, was on his early morning training run. He was a decorated Navy SEAL, disciplined, brave, and deeply in love with his wife. They had met during a rescue mission years ago, when Amara volunteered as a trauma nurse overseas. Amara found a seat near the window, ordered tea, and waited. That's when the trouble began. The waiter, a tall, thin young man named Kyle, glanced at her with a mix of irritation and disdain. He had been working the morning shift for hours, his temper worn thin. He assumed Amara was another, entitled customer, though she hadn't said a single harsh word. What really bothered him wasn't what she did, it was simply who she was. When Amara politely asked if her tea could be warm instead of lukewarm, Kyle's fake smile vanished. "Yeah, sure. Guess some people can't drink anything that's not perfect, huh?" he muttered, too loudly. She frowned slightly but kept her composure. "I didn't mean to be a bother. I just..." Before she could finish, Kyle turned sharply, grabbed her cup, and deliberately spilled cold water down her arm. The entire cafe went silent. Gasps echoed. Someone whispered, "What's he doing?" Amara froze, her eyes wide in shock. Her dress clung to her belly, her tea dripping onto the floor. She stood there trembling, not because of the cold, but because of the humiliation. Why would you do that?" she whispered softly, tears welling up. Kyle smirked. "Maybe next time, people like you can drink at the diner down the street." His voice dripped with venom. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. No one spoke up. Some looked away. Others pulled out their phones, recording. Amara's breath quickened. "I'm pregnant," she said, voice shaking. "I didn't deserve this." "Then you should have thought about that before complaining," Kyle shot back, turning his back on her. At that moment, the door burst open. A man in running gear stepped in, his shirt soaked with sweat, his expression instantly darkening as he saw his wife crying. James froze for only a second before storming forward. The cafe's quiet turned into tense silence again. "Amara," he said, his deep voice low but trembling with controlled rage. "Who did this to you?" She pointed weakly. Kyle turned, still oblivious to the danger before him. "Oh, what, this your husband? Maybe you two can take your drama somewhere else." The entire cafe collectively inhaled. James took a slow step forward. His presence was overwhelming, disciplined posture, calm eyes that hid storms. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He simply said, "You just assaulted my pregnant wife." Kyle scoffed, rolling his eyes. "Assault? Please. It's just water." That was the last sentence he said before the cafe manager rushed over, pale and shaking. "Sir, Captain Cole, I didn't know she was your wife, please." The name hit Kyle like lightning. "See, Captain." James turned to him, his voice steady. U.S. Navy SEAL Captain James Cole. "You just publicly harassed a woman because of her skin color, my wife, and endangered her and my child." The phone stopped recording. Everyone watched as Kyle's face drained of color. James didn't touch him. He didn't raise his voice. He simply said, "Apologize. Right now." Kyle stammered, I didn't mean." "Apologize to her," James repeated, his tone like steel. Kyle turned, shaking. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I shouldn't have." Amara looked at him with tears still in her eyes. "You should be sorry because you forgot I'm a human being, not because you found out who I'm married to." The silence in the cafe was heavier than stone. James wrapped his arm around her and led her out, but before leaving, he looked at the manager. No one should be treated that way in your restaurant. Fix your staff. Fix your values. They walked out, hand in hand, heads high. That night, the story spread across social media. The videos people recorded went viral, not because of James's title, but because of Amara's grace. She refused to sue, though she could have. Instead, she appeared in a heartfelt interview a week later. "I forgive him," she said softly. "Because hatred doesn't cure hate. But I hope he remembers, every person you meet is carrying a story you know nothing about." Kyle lost his job, yes, but more importantly, he reached out months later. He had volunteered at a local shelter, changed his life, and sent a letter to Amara. "You were right. I forgot to see the human being in front of me. I'm sorry." When their baby girl was born, Amara smiled through tears, naming her Grace. Because that's what healed the wound that day, not rank, not revenge, but grace. Movie camera ending message. If this story touched your heart, remember, kindness isn't weakness, and silence in the face of cruelty helps no one. Speak up, stand tall, and love louder than hate. Hit that heart-like button, subscribe for more powerful stories, and share this video with someone who needs hope today.